Raising Cane's is a popular chain of fast food restaurants specializing in chicken fingers. It started in Louisiana in the 1990s and quickly developed a cult-like following. Their loyal customers are affectionately known as Caniacs, a name that's reflected in one of their combo meals and their membership program. But over the past decade or so, they have greatly expanded their customer base, becoming one of the fastest growing restaurants out there. In 2015, they opened their first international location. It was in Kuwait City, and have since been establishing their presence all across the Middle East. They seemingly chose that area because of the high Muslim population that doesn't eat pork, helping create demand for chicken restaurants. But their main focus, of course, has been domestically in the United States, where they have been spreading all over the place. At this point, most of us don't have to travel too far to get to a Raising Cane's, and chances are that the one that's near you has opened up within the past few years. In the summer of 2022, they opened a large 2-story restaurant on the Las Vegas Strip. About 6 months later, they opened the first one in downtown Chicago, and a few months after that, in June of 2023, they opened an 8,000 square foot location in Times Square, New York. That one was part of their plan to open 25 more of them in the area over the next 3 years, and here, since 2015, their number of locations has more than doubled, and amazingly, their sales per location have also doubled. When you put those two together, it means that overall sales for Raising Cane's have exploded by more than 500%. That $3 billion in annual sales already ranks them as the 29th largest quick service restaurant in the United States, and they have expressed ambitions to crack the top 10 of that list by 2030, which would likely require them to more than triple in size by that time. That is an ambitious goal, but not necessarily out of reach. In this video, I want to talk about the potential of Raising Cane's, specifically how they've been able to grow so large already, and why they may just be able to continue growing even larger. My first reason behind their potential is the determination that has been demonstrated by Todd Graves. If you're not familiar, he is the main person behind Raising Cane's, identifying himself as the company's founder, chairman, CEO, president, fry cook, and cashier. See, back in the 1990s, chicken fingers were becoming much more popular, to a point where there was even a somewhat popular franchise in the South called Guthrie's that specialized in making them. In 1994, Todd Graves took inspiration from them and set out to open his own chicken finger restaurant in his hometown of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I know, that sounds like a simple enough idea, but it proved to be extremely difficult. He had a friend that was attending Louisiana State University, LSU. His name was Craig Silvey, and he was able to convince him to become his partner in starting the restaurant. Famously, for one of Craig's business classes, the two of them put together a business plan for the restaurant that they envisioned, and the professor grading the plan did not like it. He gave it a B-, which evidently was the worst grade in the class, and he said that a chicken finger restaurant would never succeed in the area. I guess his reasoning was that seafood and Cajun food are far more popular in Louisiana, and plus they would have to compete with Popeye's chicken from Louisiana. They were unable to secure bank loans because the loan officers also didn't see potential for the concept. There was a lot of rejection early on, so he was forced to raise the startup money on his own. To do that, he moved out to California to work as a boiler maker at an oil refinery for 90 hours a week. He then moved to Alaska, where he joined Craig Silvey, spending long, dangerous hours on a commercial fishing boat catching sockeye salmon. After a couple of years, they were able to save $30,000, brought it back to Louisiana, and used it to help secure a small business administration loan. They then used all of that money to renovate an old bakery near LSU, and right from the start, that original Raising Cane's was a big success, staying open until 3:30 in the morning on the first night to fill all the orders from college students that they were receiving. 2 years later, just after opening their second location, Craig Silvey sold his share of the company to Graves, but did return later on as financial vice president, playing a big part in helping them expand. They continued opening new restaurants throughout the 2000s, expanding their reach well beyond Louisiana, reaching 100 locations by 2010, 200 by 2014, and just exploding from there. Despite having no formal business training and being doubted by a lot of the the people around him, Todd Graves continued pursuing his vision, spending 2 years working difficult jobs to get that first location operating, and then sticking with it for more than 20 years after that to turn that into one of the most successful restaurants ever. The simple fact that he is still in charge and still determined to make it an even bigger success, I think is a great sign for the future of Raising Cane's. The vision is to ultimately have restaurants all over the world, and he says, "I am just as determined to fulfill this dream as I was to open the first Raising Cane's restaurant." That sentence right there gives me a lot of confidence for them. Next up on my list is the simplicity of Raising Cane's, mostly referring to the menu, because I don't know if there's another popular fast food chain with a menu that is this simple. You know, so many of the competitors are all about the new gimmicky menu items that are constantly revolving to draw people in, but not Raising Cane's. From the very beginning, their focus has been on chicken fingers, and that is what they make. It is in the logo and in the official name of the business. The most popular thing people order there is the box combo, containing 4 chicken fingers, crinkle cut fries, a container of cane sauce, Texas toast, coleslaw, and a fountain drink. That list right there is pretty much everything they serve. All the other combos are amazingly similar. I'm just saying, if you or somebody in your group doesn't like or isn't in the mood for chicken fingers, don't go to Raising Cane's, because they don't really offer an alternative. The lack of variety is probably the biggest potential drawback to this system, but there are some major advantages. I think most would agree that these meals are fairly inexpensive because they sell them at a small margin. They don't make much profit from each meal they sell, they instead make their profits by selling a lot of meals. Having a simple menu allows them to sell a lot of those items. It also helps them make those items really fast. A study conducted by QSR Magazine in 2018 concluded that Raising Cane's had the fastest drive-thru with an average customer wait time of only 2 minutes and 48 seconds. They have the slogan, "One Love," much like the Bob Marley song. There are actually some issues over using the slogan that have since been resolved, but unlike Bob Marley, the one love that Raising Cane's is referring to is that chicken finger meal.
Raising Cane's does one thing: quality chicken finger meals, and we do it better than anybody else.
Realistically, most other restaurants could probably get by with subpar chicken fingers because they have a lot of other stuff going on, but for Raising Cane's, that is their thing, so they have to do it better than anybody else. And that leads me to my next reason, quality. And by the way, a lot of these reasons will run together in ways, but yeah, we can see why quality is really important for Raising Cane's. Those famous chicken fingers are made using premium cuts of chicken tenderloins. They're never frozen, marinated for 24 hours, hand battered, and cooked to order. I'm sorry if I'm starting to sound like a commercial for Raising Cane's, but these are high quality chicken fingers along with the rest of their food, and notably their sauce. If you're going to sell that many chicken fingers, you gotta have a good sauce to go with them, and I think they've done it. Cane sauce has been highly praised for its unique blend of ingredients. It is a secret recipe that has never officially been revealed, though people have figured it out. I don't want to be the one to ruin the mystery, but you could look it up if you wanted to. Look, if you're one of the Caniacs, I'm sure you know all about the food quality already, and if not, maybe go out and put it to the test yourself. Order that box combo and let me know how it all compares to the competition. My next reason behind their potential is the environment within the restaurants. I want to point out that unlike, I would say, most fast food chains, Raising Cane's is 100% company owned, meaning no franchises, giving them comparatively tighter control over everything. Also, that first location opened right next to LSU, so logically it was trying to attract college students, and to an extent, they have tried to maintain some of that same atmosphere. For example, it's not uncommon to find movie posters or other kinds of pop culture memorabilia on the walls, or disco balls hanging from the ceilings. Oh, this is interesting. When they were renovating that first location, they uncovered a mural on a brick wall that was left over from the old bakery that used to be there. Well, they ended up designing their logo based off of that mural, and today, when you go into a Raising Cane's, you will find that logo painted on the wall in a way that makes it look like it's being revealed from behind a wall of bricks. I think that's pretty cool stuff. That adds to the restaurant environment, but easily the biggest component of it would be the employees. They're the ones that set the mood, keep things clean, cook the food, get the order out fast. A happy environment is created by happy employees, and Raising Cane's seems to be a decent place to work. They have been featured on multiple lists that rank the best employers in different ways. You know those lists from places like Forbes and Glassdoor. Just a few of their efforts would be a competitive pay for hourly managers, $18 an hour as of the making of this video. In 2020, they started a restaurant partner program program where select managers were invited to be part of it based on their performance. It offers various benefits that they say will give the managers the ability to accumulate a net worth of over $1 million within 12 to 15 years. It's their attempt to attract and maintain the best managers out there. Also, in that year, in the height of the pandemic, Todd Graves and his co-CEO weren't given any salary, and instead $2 million was distributed to crew members in the form of a bonus. In 2023, they started this thing where they would now give restaurant leaders $10,000 toward closing costs when they bought their first home. Just some of the more unique incentives that stand out to me, on top of the more traditional ones, of course. Overall, let me know if you're experiencing something different, but Raising Cane's has that reputation of being a happy place to work, and that helps create a welcoming environment for the customers. My final reason behind their success and potential is their marketing. I've already talked about their One Love slogan that emphasizes their passion for chicken fingers. We have also seen how Todd Graves has appeared in advertisements, basically acting as the spokesperson for his own restaurants, not completely unlike a modern-day Colonel Sanders proudly advertising his chicken. They have spent millions of dollars to sponsor the River Center Entertainment Complex in Baton Rouge. They have teamed up with singer Post Malone to release a series of collector's cups, and he personally designed a Raising Cane's restaurant in Utah. Not to mention their adorable mascot. Originally, Todd Graves wanted to name the restaurant Sockeyes Chicken Fingers, referring back to the sockeye salmon he was fishing for up in Alaska to raise money to open it, which, I don't know, I think would have been an appropriate name, but when he was renovating that initial building, his dog, named Raising Cane, was hanging around there a lot, so his friend recommended that he named it after the dog instead. That explains where the odd name for the restaurant comes from, but to me anyway, Raising Cane is still an unusual name for a dog. Well, Raising Cane, spelled C-A-I-N, is a phrase that means creating a disturbance or causing trouble. I think it's more of a southern phrase. Cain referring to the person in the Bible who killed his brother Abel out of jealousy. I imagine that the dog may have been rambunctious to be called that, and interestingly, there was a somewhat popular movie called Raising Cain released in 1992, the same year the dog was born. Sadly, the original Raising Cain passed away in 1998 when there were still only 2 restaurants in operation, but the next Christmas, Graves' wife got him another yellow lab puppy that became known as Cane 2. He became a certified pet therapy dog, going around visiting children's hospitals and acting as the restaurant's mascot for the next 17 years. After he passed away in 2016, a new puppy, known as Cane 3, made his debut as the mascot. So at this point, it's looking like there's always going to be a lovable puppy running around advertising these chicken fingers. Let me know in the comments, what do you see for the future of Raising Cane's? Will they continue on to become one of the biggest fast food success stories of all time, or do you think they have already overextended themselves and should be moving back in the other direction? Have you ever even been there before, or is this video the first time you are hearing about them? If you still don't have a Raising Cane's in your area, you may just want to be patient, because if all goes according to plan, there will probably be one opening pretty soon. Finally, what do you think of their food? Are the chicken fingers any good, or are they overrated? How do they compare to the others? And any other thoughts you have about Raising Cane's, leave them in the comments. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Thank you for watching.